Hello, precious people. I'm Jacqueline Parks. Welcome to my channel, Stampin' Turtles. I'm trying to see if we are live yet. I am checking my phone to make sure we can hear me. There we are. Very, very good. I love that when I can hear me. I love it when you can hear me. One time I think we went the whole video, nobody could hear me. But today we are going to have some really quick, easy, loose watercolor pine trees, a winter scene, and yesterday I had a wonderful class. We had 10 people. It was amazing. I'll show you guys. Let me show you a picture of all of us at the class. Look at us all, and look at these amazing paintings, y'all. They are fabulous. And I will tell you, only two or three people. Two people, I think. No, three people, definitely three people had painted before, but everyone else brand new, first time. So very, very good. They did awesome, awesome, awesome. And so I really enjoyed the class. It was a lot of people, and normally I have like 3 or 4 people instead. So I hope they enjoyed it and got a lot out of it. But I thought, why not paint the same kind of painting today for the live? And I can send it to them as like a little refresher course. And of course, I don't charge for these things because you know what? We are on the internet, and it's, I feel like we shouldn't gatekeep how to paint, okay? I learned how to watercolor from YouTube from Paul Clark and others, and so I think it's just important to allow this to be out there. Plus, that's why I started my channel, to encourage you all to just start painting, to encourage you at any age to start painting. I'm in my 50s and I have started watercoloring, and it's so much fun and rewarding, and it kind of evolved, and now I'm teaching classes and I'm selling at local galleries around town and coffee shops and doing art shows, and it's just amazing what God has done. And of course, he gave me the talent, so I'm very blessed to have that, but I also nurture it by practicing. So don't think that just because the first time you try something you're not as good as like a professional, that doesn't mean you can't get there. You just got to practice, practice, practice. So here's my little desk. I got one of these lovely little sheets of paper, but I wanted to show you something too. So I cut some of these little ones. And I don't know if you've ever noticed on watercolor paper, there's kind of a rougher side and a smoother side. So I like the rougher side. Y'all can choose whichever side you like. You can paint on both sides if you want. But I just think it's kind of, it's more texture, and it lets the paint kind of settle in the little valleys. And so that makes it look really unique and something that you don't just paint, you gotta let the paper and the water and everything kind of do its thing. So today, what am I using for our brushes? So let me see, I don't want to use those two. Now I do have these very expensive ones, but if you don't have them, that's okay. You can use any paint brushes that you have. But I think I kind of like this size. I like this size for medium, but these little small ones are great. These are basically the same size, and they're rounds. This one's a $25 brush. This one is probably a $2 brush. Maybe, yeah, about $2, I think. So we'll check them out and see if there's any difference. I'll paint with both. If you really start getting into this hobby, get yourself a rigger. Nice, long, skinny one. Another thing that's fun to have is a jelly roll pen. These are really great if you want to do some little white highlights at the end. I like this pen for pen and wash kind of things. Let me see if it'll focus. Focus. This is my, it's not waterproof, but so if you're going to do pen work on your paintings, you do it at the end with this one. Otherwise, it will just spread all over the place. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I always encourage people to hit the like button. Give me some love in the chat and say hi. Tell me where you're from if you are so inclined to share. These are going to be the paintbrushes I think we're going to use today. I don't even know if we'll use this rigger because we didn't use that in class yesterday. So that's okay. But we probably use this one, and I'm going to show you a really quick difference for trees. Let me show you. I'll use this cheap one, the $2 one. So I'm going to just get it wet real quick, and I just want to show you if I can zoom in. Let me zoom in. Is that a little bit better? So I was telling everyone, how do we create these nice loose little trees? And so for me, I was showing the zigzag kind of technique. So you kind of start with a trunk, and I feel like you can't see that as good. Let me see if we can zoom in just even closer, because I feel like you're not going to be able to see that. All right, so we made a nice long trunk. And I just showed people you go zig and zag back and forth. And see how the paint ran out at the bottom? Just dip your brush in some water, dip it in the paint again, and go back. If it runs out again, dip it in the paint and go back. Dip it in the paint and go back. And this is your basic shape. And this is like, this is beginner 101. This is not your go in the Louvre painting. This is something fun, just quick, easy. That's what most people like, is quick and easy. You could do a bunch of these and make little bookmarks to give as gifts to friends. You know, something handmade by you, touched by you. This was like less than a minute to create. But if you want to step this thing up just a little bit, let's say instead of the 1 minute version, you want to make it, you know, maybe not too detailed, but you still want loose. This is a video about loose watercolor trees. Okay, this is not a detailed watercolor tree. So I'm just dipping in my paint again, and watch what happens. So this is still kind of wet. I see a shine on there, so if I paint on there, it kind of spreads. See that? Kind of spreads. So really, if you wanted to, you would want to let these layers kind of dry in between. Why is my dog wanting me? Go lay down, Reese. Go lay down. There's no reason to be coming up here to the mama. No reason to come to the mama. And it's still really wet in this section. So every time I go to make a darker line, it just spreads out. Y'all need to get yourself a nice little Stampin' Up! Heat tool. I sell them on my website. Or you can use a hairdryer. So we're now doing maybe not as quick as the 1 minute, but I want you to see. It's nice and dry. Now she's barking. Jeez Louise. So I'm dipping it in my paint. I've got some paint on here. And look at how it just makes it so nice and dark. I don't know if there's something out there. There's probably a squirrel. Probably a squirrel out there. That's just what it is. You know what I mean? Now see how I'm just kind of zigzagging this up and down a little bit? Now, I've watched some tutorials online where they say don't do this, but I just want you guys to be aware. This is your very simple, loose watercolor tree. This is not your paint for a entry into a watercolor contest, right? We're not trying to win a contest with this tree. We're just trying to make something that looks like a tree. And this does look like a tree. Okay, it looks very much like a tree. Now, the one thing about this I want you to notice is there is still a sheen on there. I don't know how hard it is to see that. I see a little shiny, so that's a sheen. It's still wet. So I'm just going to tap some somewhat clean water right over the top of that. And then you can watch. It takes a minute to react. That water that I sprinkled on there takes just a minute to start to make some blooms. I see it already starting. So it's kind of cool when you do that. And this is something I tried to teach everybody yesterday, but when you got 10 people, it's kind of hard to show them to get your tree wet and splatter it with some clean water and just let it sit for a minute. We also get very impatient when we're painting sometimes, and we want it to just be the most perfect thing that we've ever painted right from the get-go. But this is how we do it. This is watercolor, and you wait. You paint, you wait, you let things react, you let things sit, and you let it dry. Now this is super wet with the splattering of water, and I told you clean water, but I want you to see my clean water. This is not super clean water. This is murky green water. I do have 2 cups on my desk. This is clean water. So if you don't know this about watercolor, you should have 2 cups at all times of water on your desk when you're painting, just because you'll want to rinse off in one and then use the other one for your clean water if you need to wet a section and you don't want to use your murky water. Now, I use murky water just because I think it makes my paintings look more realistic, because nothing in life is the bright, fluorescent color greens out there. This is pretty green actually for me. I usually paint something a little bit more bluish green. What are y'all drinking today? I'm actually drinking a 2nd cup of coffee today. So yeah, I'm drinking a 2nd cup, which I don't normally do. And this is my husband's mug. Merry Christmas, y'all. He's actually hunting, so yeah. So I'm using his mug to remember him. But here, my twee is still kind of drying. I could speed it up. Look at that. Takes less than 30 seconds to dry it with that little heat tool. And look at all the little watercolor blooms. Do you see them? I love that stuff. I love that you can't create that except through watercolor. I love it. So let me show you one more quick little thing, because what I've been noticing out and about, especially at like Michael's, they have this really, they have this funny thing called Christmas decorations, different aisles of Christmas decorations. Here's my palette. So I'm going to use this really bright red. We're going to try and duplicate what I've been seeing at Michael's in the Christmas aisle. Let me see if I can clean my palette just a little bit, because I think the red needs to be kind of pure red. And I'm not normally a pure colorist, right? I have everything mixed up. So this is, I'm going to clean a little section. Why is that in there? Get out of there. So this is my pure Scarlet red. If you don't have scarlet red, just use any red you got. And so I'm mixing it on the palette like this. See that? And I'm adding some of the drop of clean water. Drop of clean water. The more water, guess what? The more pink. So yes, that is a trend I'm seeing at Michael's anyways, that there is pink trees, pink garland, pink decorations, pink bulbs, pink bows, pink, 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 right? So how do you make pink? You just take your red and add water. That's how you make pink. Because I don't know. Is there a pink? Quinacridone red? I don't know. There's different ones. Rose madder maybe? I have no idea. But for me, I make, let me see. Why can I not find? There we go. So now we're going to take that beautiful color that I just did, and we're going to do the same thing that we did for this little green tree, but we're going to make a pink tree. Now I was telling everyone we can make a pink tree, right? And see, look at that. And that zigzag, y'all, that is just to create a little variation, because you don't want your tree to be the same. Okay, you want a little bit sticking out here, sticking out there, sticking out there, sticking out here. Now all of this is one solid color pretty much. It's not doing anything detailed. This is a loose tree. This would be great just like that. But of course, this is watercolor 101. We're learning to create a little bit more depth in there. So we're going to dry it real quick. That was probably good enough. So look at that, a pink tree and a green tree. I'm going to dip back into what I already created. See over here, I'm just going to dip in there. See that? And now I'm going back over this. We're just adding the same color. Look at that. Same color. Get more paint. The paint does, you actually are depositing paint on your paper, so you have to redip into your palette to get more paint on there. But the key to this, water. Lots of water on there. So it does show that someone is watching, but you have not commented. Why are you not commenting? Are you shy? I don't know. I think that it's pretty funny. That I think a lot of you are watching on your TV. So you probably don't even have your phone in your hand, right? You're just watching it on your TV. So I'm larger than life right now. It is pretty funny. So now I'm going to look at my palette again. So I still have a little bit of pink or that red, watered down red. And it's looking really good right there. It's still enough that if I need a third layer on there, I can use it. So why do I not see it? There it is. And so if I try, look at that, nothing. It's still too wet. Too wet, it didn't do anything, right? Get my heat tool. Just a little bit, just to dry it, and now watch. Look at that. I'm telling you, it's the make or break for the watercolor artist, having a heat tool. So good, so good. And see how I'm just kind of going down and down and down? Look at that. Now, it's still somewhat wet from me adding the third or fourth layer. I forget which one this is. So now I'm just going to take some clean water and splatter some clean pinkish water. And it's kind of, you can see there's a shine right there. See that shine? It's good. That's what we want. We want a little bit of shine right there. And I like to let this kind of sit instead of blow dry right now because it's still activating. It's still reacting. It's still moving. Water and paint are reacting with each other. They're dancing together. They're doing their thing. They're creating blooms. And some people yesterday were like, look at this mark on my tree. Is this, it's a bloom. And they didn't really want the bloom. Pamela! Sorry I'm quiet and not commenting. You're correct. I'm watching on my TV and preparing my paint station for the day. Yay! Well, thank you for taking a moment to comment. That's very sweet of you. And we're doing, look at the pink tree. I mean, really, you could do any color. Like, let's say purple. You want a purple tree. You could do purple paint. If you want a blue tree, you can have a blue tree. And I was just showing them how these could be bookmarks as gifts for friends. I have these 2 cut pieces that are just sitting around. We could do something with them. But I'm just watching this paint dry. Okay, they say it's boring to watch paint dry. Not watercolor, though. Watercolor is kind of fun to watch. Look at all the little blooms in there. I just love it. I just love those. And look at how different. This one's like tall and skinny. This one's a little bit more chunky. But you could just do a little hole punch at the top and tie some ribbon. And that could be a little bookmark. You could stamp Merry Christmas at the bottom. Anything you want. You could stamp the word joy. You can even add some white snowflakes. Like you could dribble this. I think I show this in one of my short videos that you just take some of this Bombay white Indian ink. You can put a little bit in a bowl, dip your brush. I wouldn't use one of your good brushes. Use a fake brush. Use a cheap brush. Like these ones are probably 10 cents. I bought off of Amazon. Use one of those. And like if you use a smaller tip, you'll get smaller snowflakes when you splatter them. But basically like we are doing the water, just do that with the ink. So you would dip it in here, get your brush loaded up, and splatter with some white. Splatter the white. I am liking this. I think it's really kind of a pretty, it's a pretty scene. I like how the green, I can really see the blooms on the green now. Look at those little blooms in there. They're very nice. So I really like how those 2 turned out. So yesterday's class was so much fun, even with so many people, which I am so blessed that there are people interested in taking my classes. I am extremely happy that God is allowing that, and He is fabulous, of course. But I do think that you can improve no matter what stage of life you're in. You can improve on any painting techniques. You can keep practicing and learning. Pamela says she's drinking her first cup of coffee and trying to warm up. I know it's like so cold. It's 28 degrees overnight. At least we've warmed to 38 degrees. I didn't check this morning. My kitty cats were inside last night. Obviously, they were, they don't want to be out into cold. But it's telling me when I look at my little app, 46 degrees right now. And tonight will be 29. So yeah, too cold for this Cali girl. I used to live in California, y'all. And I didn't know Alabama was going to be cold. I knew it was going to be hot. I didn't know it was going to be cold. And I'm someone who lived at the beach. I was one of those that had a convertible and just was always outside enjoying the nice mild weather that California has. So coming to Alabama, we got some cold in the winter, and it drops so fast, like 30 degrees in like a couple hours it can drop. That's crazy to me. That's so crazy. One time You grew up in Riverside. Oh my gosh, I was in Torrance. If you know where Torrance is, that's like not that far from Riverside. And so yeah, it was a shocker coming to Alabama and being like, one day it was like 80 degrees. The next day I get in my car in the garage. So I didn't know. I didn't check the apps. Well, I don't even think I had a cell phone, to be honest, or apps on my cell phone. And I didn't even have a smartphone. Like, that's how long ago I've been here, like 20 years. And so got in my car with the kids in the garage. We pull out, we drive to the preschool. And when we get out of the car, it is 30 degrees out. And we're in shorts and flip-flops. We thought it was going to be another 80-degree day. It was freezing. And I did not even know. So I learned pretty quick that you have to be prepared in Alabama for extreme weather changes. And I do like it. Okay, so let's see. Oops, where is that? There we go. So this is my blank sheet of paper. We're not going to draw anything today. We're just going to paint a winter scene. What do you think? Should we, oh, you spent your summer up and down 101. Yep. Orange County, California. Yep. And I went to UC Irvine and got my art degree from UC Irvine. I wanted to go to a non-party school, but I think every school is a party school. You can't really escape them. But we're going to start by wetting. We're going to wet the whole thing. Let me show you real quick. That's not the whole thing. We're going to wet just the sky with clean water. It's real hard to see what I'm painting. Clean water. Just about halfway to a little more than halfway, okay? And didn't tape this down because sometimes I don't like to tape things down. I just think it takes too much time for me. Too much time. So now I'm going to switch and show you my palette just so you know what I'm doing. So this is my palette. I don't know why that's in the camera. And see, I have this already on my palette. And it's very small amount already, so I don't really need too much. So I'm just loading up my brush with lots of this very tea consistency gray blue, okay? It's a gray blue. We're going to have like a little gray blue sky. So now I'm just going to paint that very loosely, quickly across the sky, right? And look, you can't even tell basically that there's anything on there. Like, this is literally just a little bit of color on there, not too much. So I've just done that. It's very wet still, which means we need our heat tool. I always say, be careful not to burn your paper. If you hold that heat tool really close to your paper, it will burn it. Brown paper. So now that barely looks anything, but it's enough for me. I see it, okay? So now we're going to go back to the palette just so you can see what I'm mixing. So we had this for the sky, which is very tea consistency. I'm going to dip my brush in what I have here, which is Payne's Gray, and it's a fair amount. Look at all that. Look at all that. So this is nice and thick, but let's add some water. And what I do to add water is I dip my brush and drop it on top. See how that added more water? So it just thins it out a little bit. So now we're going to do the mountain scene. And a mountain scene is just like what I said, just a little mountain scene. And not all the way to the bottom. Just go like this. So that's kind of dark to me, but it's okay if it's too dark. A lot of times your paint will dry a little lighter. We're gonna heat it up, make it faster. And look at that. That's already pretty like that, I think. But we're going to go back to looking at the paint. I didn't add anything really to this. It's just that I still have some. So I'm just dipping my brush, getting it loaded up. See that? And then we're going to go back to the painting. So now we're going to do that second mountain range. And you can do wherever you want on that second mountain range. Just, you can be creative with it, however you want to do it. You're getting a little light shine on there. That's okay. We know it's still wet then. So you can see this is all kind of wet, letting it do its thing. Some people tip and tilt and all that. I'm just going to dry this with my heat tool. And that's nice and dry, right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to switch to a different brush because we're going to do some of the trees, okay? We're going to do some trees. So this little brush is going to go down and we're going to get my expensive one because I really feel like I like this size. And I don't really have this size in the cheap set. So it doesn't matter that this is an expensive brush. It's more about the size. So if you have something a little bigger than this, okay? A little bigger. This is too thin. I like this one. And plus you can see one is stiffer. One is very soft. I like the very soft. So we're going to go with this one. We're going to get it nice and wet in the water. We're going to use, I want to show you my palette. We're going to use this. We're going to use this color. And I still have plenty left in here. Like plenty. Sometimes I run out and I have to remix it, but we're just using Payne's Gray straight from my palette. So that's what we're doing. Now we're going to make a tree. So when I make my little trees, like I showed you how we did these ones, we're not making them so that they're worthy of being juried in an art show. We're making a scene that we could give to mama or give to a friend or something. You know, they're going to love it. They're going to love it. And see how it's so light, y'all? That's just how it is, okay? It's just super light. Because this is layer 1. We're not even done, okay? We're not done yet. This is the layering. Layering. You can put one over here. Let's do one that's really tall, going off the page. And you might be like, why is it just like you're zigzagging around? Yep, that's what I'm doing, zigzagging. This is our first layer. This is probably why it was kind of difficult for the group to understand what I was doing, because it's like, it doesn't look like the finished product. Like the finished product, I don't even know if I have one with me. I don't think I do. But like your finished painting isn't going to look like ghost trees. These are ghost trees right now. They're see-through. They're very, you know, translucent. Even that trunk is not really doing anything. So we are gonna dry it. Because watching paint dry is very boring on one of these live things. So I'm just dipping my brush in here. You can kind of see it off screen a little bit in that top corner. I'm going back in to make layer number 2. I'm still doing my kind of zigzagging across. And I've noticed that that first thing I did was kind of making a lighter trunk, but I'm not happy with that staying there. But I'm gonna see if the more I layer this, the better it gets. So we'll see if it goes away with my third, fourth, fifth layer. You might be like, how many layers? You're gonna be having lots of layers. This is layering. We gotta layer. I'm gonna do it over here. And I am not trying to make straight lines across like a zebra. We are zigzagging it around. We are creating some texture. It's still the beginning stages. We're not quite to the point where we're going to be doing, oops, I made a couple little dots. Let me see if I can get them out real quick. You probably can't even see them. I can see them. All right, I just got rid of them with the tip of my brush. And I did show everyone you can erase. Like if you're painting and you make a mistake, like a big blob of paint hits the sky somewhere, just dab it out with a paper towel or the tip of your clean, dry brush. Clean, dry brush. So we're gonna let this kind of dry. I'm gonna actually help it. So you'll notice that I actually have not added any color to this. I use the same consistency, same amount of water paint ratio for 3 layers. 3 layers, and this is still not done. Okay, we're still not to the beautiful stage. This is probably where we say, oh, the ugly stage, right? We got to remember there's always an ugly stage. I'm going to show you that I'm going to dip my brush into the palette and add some more paint in here and add some more water in there because I ran out. You notice I used it all up. I ran out. If I wanted to go really thick and dark, I can. You can almost paint like you're painting with acrylic with watercolor if you use it from the tube. But I don't really like that. I like it loose. I like it drippy, and I like it with the blooms and things like that. So I basically mix this up. I think it's about the same consistency. It might be just a hair thicker than what we were using. Maybe just a little bit. Not too much though. So now we're going to go back and do some more layering. And I want you to notice I'm starting to kind of make those branches go down at the bottom. Towards the top, they kind of almost go towards the, you know, as their new growth, I guess, they go up. But as they're at the bottom of the trees, if you look at trees, you'll see they kind of droop down. And if these guys have some snow on them, they're going to droop down, right? But you can make the tops kind of point upward a little bit. And then as you kind of go down, I'm not trying to spend too much detail on here. I'm just kind of still zigzagging these things around. And see the bottom of these 2 trees, they're touching, they're melding. They're not even, you can't tell which tree is which anymore at the bottom. That's fine. That's what I think. And see, I'm just kind of pulling that down. Pulling that down just a little bit. So it's not, this is when we start to make a little bit of detail, but not much. We're still trying to focus on being a loose pine tree. It's not supposed to be too detailed. But see how I did that? I think I can lift it up and show you. But I can still kind of see my mountain range behind them. So they're really not even as, they're still a little too translucent for me, but we're not done yet. We're not done yet. We're doing layers, right? So now we're going to do more layers on this side. And we might have to mix up some more paint. I don't know, we'll see. I'm just trying to get lots of paint down. Okay, now this one, we are going to start making some more of these little downward areas just to make it look a little bit more. And you guys, don't be upset at yourself if you don't get it the first try, because my muscle memory is different than yours, because I've been doing this for 5 years, okay? When you start doing something for 5 years, your brain and your hand work together and create things because you already have done it 150 times or however long I've been doing trees. So you're going to be frustrated if you think you can just do it as quick and easy as me, because I've been doing this longer. If you're a newbie, this is going to take time and it's going to take practice. So let me get another little sip of coffee. It's almost cold now. My daughter likes to drink coffee, but she lets it get too cold and then she has to heat it up. Let me heat this up, to be honest. So see, I've got my trees. They're still very translucent. I can see where that mountain range is behind it, and like the line from the mountain range, right? So we gotta keep adding layers until we don't see those mountain ranges anymore. The thing is, I ran out of paint again, so I'm gonna dip it in and go like this. Add some water. Add some water. Look at all that I just mixed up again. Nice amount. And we are using one color basically for this. It's kind of like the Payne's Gray, whatever's been mixed accidentally in there too, and whatever was on my palette. But basically you'll have the same results if you just buy a tube of Payne's Gray and use it. Or you could do your pink. You could do this whole scene in pink. You could do it in any color you want. So now I'm going to go back in. This is like layer number 6. I've lost count. And it doesn't really matter what layer it is. You're just going to keep people to keep coming monthly. I would love to see more of you guys at my open studio days, which is Fridays. Because if you come in person and you work on your own thing, I'll be there to help. But it's not a class. It's not like, okay, you're going to paint what I'm painting. You paint what you want to paint. And then I'm there if you have a question and I can help you. But open studio is super, I would think super fun, because you're going to be there with other artists. It's going to be encouraging. It's going to be community. That's what my goal is to have a community of like-minded artists and who want to help each other improve your skills, right? So you might be like brand new to this craft of watercolor, and you'll be like, well, I need to be practicing more, but I really don't want to spend $20 for another class, right? You know, on top of the last class. So maybe you want to come do the open studio and not really do a class. You could just focus on what you've already been kind of learning how to do. And then you can learn how to mix some colors. If you have a question about how do you mix this color? You know, sometimes people are like, how do you mix brown? They don't have a brown. Oh, Pamela, you're in Oklahoma. I should come visit, because that sounds like it would be a fun place to go. You'd love to be in an open art fellowship and practice. I wonder if there's one in Oklahoma. I'm sure there's people in Oklahoma. Or you know what, Pamela, you could probably be the one. you could be the one to start it. You could be the one. I started this. Like, I literally turned on YouTube and started filming myself and then posting videos. And the thing about this was that I didn't really know what I was doing. You know, I was like, I literally just was like, you know what? I'm in my pajamas, no makeup, nothing. I'm just gonna, my hair was a mess, my kitchen was a mess, everything was a mess. And I said, but I want people to start. I want you to start doing watercolor. So I was like, I'm just gonna film me starting watercolor. I still really didn't know what I was doing, but I was like, I want to encourage others to just start where you're at. So for me, I think God was putting it on my heart to do that, because I think for me, it was more of a passion to encourage others. It wasn't about like, I'm the best, because I'm not the best. And it wasn't about like, oh, I have so much knowledge to share. It wasn't about that. It was about, I don't know what I'm doing, neither do you, but let's just start. And that's how I kind of wanted to do this channel. I wanted it to be encouraging to others. Now, if you want to step it up and be more professional, there are definitely other channels that will help you be more professional in your painting style. Me, I love it loose and fast and wild. Like, that's what I love. What was Pamela saying? You're an experienced leisure artist, desperate for fellowship. Definitely. And she said, I'm working on it. God has blessed me with a trailer to convert into a mobile art studio and tiny home so I can take it anywhere. That is perfect. I have a studio now. I tried to set up my recording studio there, but it wouldn't. The reception or whatever it is that I have, the connection there was just really, really bad for going live. And it would just freeze. We tried it. Like, I think it was like 2 months ago. So I just gave up on going live from the studio. We're at my home studio, which is, you know, the little craft room that I have. And it works for recording. But when I do my classes, it's at the studio, and I can encourage people to come there, and we can do classes, we can do private classes, we can do groups, we can do, if you're an artist and you want to rent some space at the studio because you don't have a little room at your house, you can come and rent a space there. So just let me know in the messages if you're interested in that. You're in your PJs. I actually was in my PJs 15 minutes before going live, and I had no makeup on. I do that pretty quick. I do everything pretty quick. I think I like paint pretty quick. I don't know. Do all kinds of things quick. So actually we didn't even have to blow dry this because I was chit-chatting. So now we're gonna go back in and do some more. Let's do some more darker on the bottom here. And we're just kind of skipping around and doing kind of fun things. Look at that. We're just kind of crazy with this little thing. Crazy. Now I'm seeing, which is hard for you to see, there's like a little light area right in there. That's going to grow because there's water on there. And I kind of like it. I like that. So now I'm going to put some more over here. Some more over here. I'm leaving some light areas. I'm not going to fill everything in. It's just kind of a little bit. I'm running out of paint. I might have to mix up a little bit more. Sorry about the dog barking. It's someone driving by, so they have to bark. I guess. I don't know why they have to bark. Wish I could read her mind and say, what is going on? What is going on with you barking at things? So I am liking this tree over here. I'm liking these trees, but this is the stage. If you wanted to splatter a little bit of clean water, you could use a small brush. There's a little bit of water on there. I'm going to tap it and see what happens. It may not be the stage to do this, but we'll try it. You have to experiment when you're an artist. Experiment. You know, I've started doing some mixed media, y'all, and I really love it. I may do some live videos, I don't know, on TikTok or something, because I really want to keep my watercolor and my mixed media separate. So I may start a new Instagram or a new channel for that. I really want you guys to look at what's happening here. Do we have one that's even closer? I don't know if there's one. Ooh, this might be. So see, there's some blooms happening in the tree. Do you see that? There's a bloom and it's growing. It's growing, and the water I splattered on here is pushing away. It's pushing paint away. That's what a bloom is. Sometimes we like the blooms after we do them. Sometimes they're not that great after we do them. Sometimes we're like, that was too big of a blob of water and it made the whole thing ruined, right? But you don't know what you like until you start experimenting. So keep experimenting. This is great over here. I'm liking these little blooms. They're looking almost like snowflakes. Pamela says, I'm currently working on an acrylic ocean themed piece called He Will Rescue You. Oh, that sounds beautiful. It's the Lord's arm locking hand in hand to pull the person under the water, out of the water. Oh, that is beautiful. I would love to see that. I don't know if you're on any of my social media, other places, but Facebook, you can definitely message me there. I do have a chat on my website, stampinturtles.com, if you want to just click to chat. Sometimes I don't notice that someone's, started a chat until like a couple hours later, and I feel bad, but I will respond. So watercolor and fluid white acrylic create amazing mixed media pieces. Yep. I'm currently working on one, and it's my favorite piece to work on. Ooh. Can't wait to see it. I would love for you to send me a picture. Yeah, send me a picture. So just, find me, Jacqueline Parks or Stampin' Turtles on different social medias. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, my website, Stampin' Turtles, wherever you can find me, send a message. And I'll try and reply in a timely manner. But sometimes I'm very, very busy and don't see these things pop up on my phone, the little messages. I'm looking at this and I'm kind of sitting here. I'm watching the painting, which is kind of a weird thing to say. Like, oh, is your painting gonna do something? Yeah, it's actually doing something right now. It is in the process of drying, but it's also in the process of moving. And the paint and the water are moving. And this is almost like you have to experiment with this to see exactly when to put the little blobs of water, when you can do the different stages of this. So it's very much a practice. Just like I was telling everybody yesterday. Oh, it's so funny. So I was telling them, if you know how to write your name, it's because you were practicing it for when you were 5 years old, right? And you wrote your name and you didn't know how to write your name at first, but now you do. Now you don't even think about it. You just write your name. Muscle memory, so that your brain in your hand can write it. You just know how to do it. You don't have to think. But when you were 5, you had to trace those letters. You had to practice the letters. You had to practice. Like my stepson, I'm not throwing him under the bus or anything, but when he writes his name, it looks like he's still practicing to write that name. I'm not trying to be mean, but it's just, he is not trying to do it super neat, I don't think. My daughter does kind of sloppy writing too, but my other daughter, Jessica, she's like a typewriter. Like, her letters are perfect. What is Pamela saying? I'm exploring adding pressed flower petals to mixed media. I did a deep dive into how to apply organic material and still be archival. I would be interested in that too. But I don't put anything like that in my paintings. I put some designer paper that I have from Stampin' Up. I put some hymnal pages. I put some, um, I've been making paper, so I have some DIY paper. I have some eco dyed papers that I've done that I'm starting to play with and add to my mixed media. I'm starting to make my own jelly plate prints, so those are fun. But yeah, putting petals and stuff, I would worry about it degrading, but maybe there's a way to preserve them. Um, but I think this is pretty much dry. I can see there's still a shine. See the little bit of a shine on the paper? You can see that, so it's still kind of wet right there. But I want you to see these little blooms. Can you see those little blooms in there? It's kind of hard. They're just very subtle, but I mean, they make it look like the snow is kind of flaky or something. Like little starbursts. All right, so this is not I mean, it could be basically finished, but it's not technically because I want to add some more trees like through here. And that was part of the class that I really didn't get to focus on when we were doing it. So I want to kind of do that here so you guys can see what I'm doing. She said, Pamela says, tissue paper collage and rose petals are incredible. Those trees look so natural. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm so grateful that they look good. I am very grateful. Okay, so now we're going to look at my palette. Where is my palette? There you are. I'm going to have to learn how to do these buttons on my phone. I mean on my computer. So now I'm adding, this is very watered down. This is not as thick as we were working on. So I keep dropping more water. Look at how much I have and how translucent and light it is. That's what I wanted, right? So we're going to do a little tree line. We're going to do a tree line and see what happens. I don't even have a picture to look at. Okay, we're just going to go for it, okay? We're just going to go for it. Sometimes I don't know what I'm doing. So these are like some trees, and they're got like some tips there. Oh, my child just texted me. I don't think I can text her back right now. I am doing just a little smoothing at the bottom. So right now, I can see there's a tree line right here, kind of. It's very loose. This is the loosest of tree lines, okay? The loosest. Now, I could have did this part before I did these trees in the foreground, but as you can see, it's hard to get rid of those mountain lines in the back. So if I had another layer behind these, it would be kind of hard to get rid of those as well. So this is just easier for me to do. Pamela's saying you grab too much water for what you're attempting to accomplish. Too much water? I don't know. I think, well, maybe because you've been painting, so now you're adding a lot of water. But I found like newbies don't like to use water. And I'm like, more water, more water. Actually, she's saying I grabbed too much color and it looks like color explosion blobs. Okay, so that's a part of really practicing how much of each. Like this is still really wet and it's pushing away. It's kind of, I don't know, it's really cool. I like how it's looking. And if you use really nice paper, I don't know what kind of paper you're using, Pamela, but once you start doing this on a monthly basis and you're really getting better, I would upgrade your paper to Arch paper. All right, so I'm going to dry this because we need more layers. So I like the layering effect. So we're still using this paint I mixed. So it's the same consistency, same amount of paint and water, but it's going over the top of this. So now we're going to bring them out and do a little bit more down here. And we can just keep it going. And now this section in here is real white. This is all pure paper white, and we want it to kind of be a little bit more of the shadows in here. Another thing that I didn't do yet was show you how to make the little trunks on here. Getting lots of little text messages all of a sudden. So I'm just going to add a little bit of brown. This one is burnt sienna, just a little bit, okay? And I'm not trying to make this be a perfect trunk or anything. I'm just adding a little bit of brown. Sometimes it's better if it's still a little bit wet to add this bit of brown in there. But it's okay if it's not wet still, we can add a little bit of water just to spread it. So I'm liking how that little bit of brown is bringing it out just a little bit. I'm going to rinse my brush. I'm going to add just a little bit of this blue over the top of some of that just to make that brown fade and not look so... I don't like anything to look too stark, to be honest. I don't like that. But I do like how it looks when you mix that brown a little bit with it. And again, you'll get better as you do this. Practicing will help. But now underneath the tree, we want a little bit of shadow. Just a little bit of shadow, right? We don't want it to be a lot of the shadow. We just want a little bit. We can go like that. And now we can go and do just... This is when you want the rough texture on your paper. Watch what happens. I'm doing the side of my brush. And I'm skimming it. This is a thing where you need to practice. You need to learn to practice that. And it's better when it's like rougher paper. Pamela's saying, I have 2 pads saved. I'm starting intense brushstroke and color mixing practice. And I've started to use gouache when I've been creating with acrylics before I pick up my watercolors. That's kind of cool. So my brain and muscle memory have time to adjust to the different operating procedures. Yep. And sometimes we like to switch mediums, and so then we got to get our brain to switch as well, because acrylic is so different, right? We got like major differences in the 2 mediums. I mean, watercolors, you can see we've got lots of different blooms. We've got lots of different translucent things going on. And with acrylic, unless you water it way down, it's gonna be you can make acrylic translucent. You gotta water it way down. But I like to use acrylic ink if I'm gonna do that. So she started as a mixed media artist, so bit off a lot. Oh well, I started off acrylic artist, so that's definitely something that when I switched to watercolor, it was very difficult. And I finally found a guy that I can learn from. If you haven't heard of Paul Clark, I highly recommend you go join his YouTube channel, subscribe to him. He will do a new video every Wednesday. You can follow along, you can pause, rewind, whatever. He also has a Facebook group, very supportive over there. Just a lovely, lovely community of online artists. So for watercolors. And I found a good friend who actually is from Russia because of Paul Clark and commenting on his videos. And she was like emoji queen. So like every comment she made had like 100 emojis in it. So I was like, those are so cute. I love this. And it just stood out. And so her and I started talking, and now we're like pen pals. It's awesome. This water is puddling. There's some little puddles. I'm going to dry them real quick. That's good enough, right? Now I want to show you just real quick. I'm going to just add a little bit more Payne's Gray to this because I need it. I need it to be darker. So look at that. We're just mixing a little Payne's Gray right there. Oh, you said, Pamela's saying I would not be able to resist hitting the piece you're creating with the white fluid glaze. The effect it creates are stunning. Well, I have not heard of this white fluid glaze. I don't know if it's anything like ink, but I might have to look into that, right? So now I'm going to make some darker trees, and these are not going to be super detailed like these ones. These aren't even super detailed, to be honest, but we're just going to make a couple, like, and they're bigger than the trees behind them, but they're not going to be as big as these guys. So they're definitely a little bit different in size, and we can make them all kind of connected at the bottom there. You can leave some white space if you want. I'm going to put some maybe right here. And I'm going quiet because I'm concentrating. You ever go quiet when you concentrate on things? Oh, my brain sometimes is like, nope, we can't talk while we do this. We got to be quiet and focused. So I'm just adding little tips just to make sure these look like trees and not just a blob. Not just a blob. And we can make them there, and we can even extend it over here. So now that's starting to look really pretty, and it looks like trees. They look like trees. I'm going to hit it with the heat tool. Check that out. Looking good. And you can kind of see there is some like lighter trees behind them. But it's really subtle. It's so subtle. So the stars of the show are these guys. And we may even have to bring them out a little bit more. So I might end up putting some more darker areas on these trees just to bring them out a little bit more, right? And this is, like I said before, you might want to put a little bit of a downward turn now on these just to get them to look more like natural, the natural shape. And again, I'm doing this so fast because I already kind of have a muscle memory for it. If you don't have that muscle memory yet, y'all just practice, practice, practice. Can't stress it enough. you will get better as you practice. So definitely, if you feel like this is too advanced, it's really more of a practicing thing. So I'm like exaggerating a little bit of this down in here, making it, some of this is still really clear, like translucent still. Some of it is darker and thicker. And you can really get, you could get overworked. You can overwork this. Like I am almost overworking, right? But I'm trying to make them kind of stand out in front of that. I want it to kind of look like it's coming across in front of these trees back. So there's that tree. I think that looks pretty good. I think I'm happy with how that's looking. Again, I can get some clean water and I can just do a little bit of that clean water on there to make it do some blooms. Or maybe we can do this. So you're saying, let me see what you're saying. Dance on the paper or canvas. That would be really fun to try. Let me see if I can get a little bit of this ink in here. Oop, that was a lot of that ink in there. I need to buy a new one of these just because this one is definitely, it's causing me some grief. The little eyedropper does not do anything anymore and it makes me frustrated. But I just put a drop of ink into this. There's a little bit in there. I got ink all over my hand. It's wonderful. Gotta have messy hands, I think. So now we don't want to use that nice brush. We're gonna use this little cheapy brush and we're gonna just dip it in this white acrylic ink. Or what, I think it is acrylic. I don't know. Dr. Phil Martin's Bombay White. And because this is still wet, it's making some effects. I wonder if that's what you're kind of talking about, Pamela, with the wet or the glaze or something. I don't know. Maybe there's something to it. Make some big drops. It's snowing everywhere, y'all. It's snowing. And you just keep dipping and doing this. Just keep dipping. So what does this look like? It looks like a winter wonderland, right? With some snow. There's some big snowflakes, little snowflakes. The smaller your brush, the smaller the splatters. Now, am I overdoing this? I don't know. It's kind of fun. And I think if you're creating art, you should have fun. You know, you should have fun when you do this. And this will be an easy cleanup if I got it all over. I did splatter some in my palette, which is not a big deal. What affordable brushes do you recommend for everyday acrylic use? And separate brushes for everyday watercolor use? Of course. Do not mix acrylic and watercolor brushes. So when I was at UC Irvine, I had a ton of brushes that I used that were really expensive. And I ended up keeping those. So they're probably 30 years old. But I did just recently buy another set of acrylic brushes just to have for my mixed media. And I didn't want to mix my watercolor. So I did buy some watercolor brushes off of Amazon, but this is Fumu or Fumui. I don't know how to say it. It's okay. I use these when I forget my other brushes. But the ones that I would use for watercolor, it's a good brand, Royal and Langnickel, and it's Menta, and it's for watercolors, and they're the turquoise handles. And Hobby Lobby used to sell them. Now it's just at Michael's, and boy, the husband is calling, but I was to call him back. Um, Poor guy. And then this is, well, we're actually way over. I don't know why I've been chit-chatting so much with y'all, but these have a chisel on the end. So that's why I like these, because you can do a lot of effects with that chisel on the end of the brush. And I just think that the amount of variety for this one watercolor set, it's like $12, I think. Maybe it used to be 10, it used to be 8. It used to be cheap. But it's the watercolor Menta Royal and Lang Nickel. So I don't have I don't sponsor anything. I just talk on here. So this is what I always recommend if you're starting out. And even though I've been doing this for 5 years, I have not stopped using this set. This is the original set. It held up. Now someone did when they just bought one. They bought this set and one was falling apart, like the bristles were coming out. I said, return it, it's defective. I said, because normally that doesn't happen, and it doesn't happen to me. So, and like everyone else that's been coming. So they've been having, they've had really good luck with this. Now this is the black velvet silver edition, and that's expensive. Like I think you can get the set of round, and this is travel size, that's why it's expensive. But these are like, these were $75, and it came with 4. And now it's like over $100 for the same set. So you just gotta check and see if it goes on sale. I don't know if it will or not. All of the print has come off, so I don't even know, what size these are. I don't care what they're called, what size they're called. I just know what I like to use. So I like to use this flat brush. I also like to use, there's a brush that came in that set, the cheap set, that I really like, and it's a big round like this. I don't know why they don't make better print on here. It all rubs off, but that's okay. So we're almost done though today. I think that painting turned out really good, and I'll have to call my husband back because he just called. But look at that. Look at that. That's a winter wonderland. I would love to go skiing there or go for a little hike. I don't know. Actually, I'd like to have a cabin right in the middle. That's what I would like. A cabin with my hot cocoa or my hot coffee and a nice book, the Bible maybe. I need to just read my paper Bible. A lot of times I just do devotionals on my phone, and I need to start doing more just plain reading out of the paper Bible. Here's my little stack of my friend Cindy gave to me. Let's just go like this and see what happens. Just like randomly pick a verse and see what it says. Ooh, and this kind of goes, this kind of goes with the sermon from my church at Three Circle Church. And we're studying Psalm 46, but this is Psalm 34:19. And it says, the good people do not escape all troubles. They have them too. But I, the Lord, will help you in each and every one. And Jesus said, you will encounter trials and tribulation. And I know in my own life, with my husband's truck being in the shop over a month, that we do encounter trials. And I also had an AC unit struck by lightning. That was a trial. And we've had to fight, sometimes the insurance for those things. That's a trial, trying to fight insurance companies. But luckily the warranty on our truck was fabulous. It had a peace of mind warranty on that, and I highly recommend doing that. If you have a truck. So we were able to use the warranty for the majority of it and only had to pay like a deductible and a little bit that wasn't part of it. But yeah, we are going to have trouble. We're going to have trials. We're going to have, that's how our faith grows. We experience growth in our faith when we encounter a trial, when we encounter trouble. And I'll be honest, a lot of times when I have a trial or trouble in front of me, I freak out, and then I go and just, Google it, ask other people, stress and lose sleep. And then all of a sudden it dawns on me, I need to pray about it. Why don't I pray first? Like, I need to pray first and not last. So I am definitely still growing in my faith. I'm a newbie. Well, 10 years. Okay, so I was 45 when I really became a believer. Like, I was always saying I was a believer, but 45, that's pretty old. That's pretty old to be becoming a believer. And I'm almost 55 now. So, well, next year. Pamela says, I found your channel looking for a faith-based artist. Aw, yay, I'm so glad, because I feel that way too. I feel like a lot of content creators don't want to say one way or the other. They're probably believers, but they don't make it a focus. And I'm not making it a focus, but it is my everything. Jesus is my everything. So in my description for my channel, I want people to know first and foremost that I love Jesus. And he has given me the desire to be an artist since I was 5. I've always wanted to be an artist. And finally, in my 50s, I am running a little art studio. I have an art channel. I am selling commissions. I am teaching people how to paint. And this is just the desires of my heart that the Lord has given me. And I think it is because I became a born-again Christian that really has put my faith into him and leading me. And I'm not a perfect Christian. I don't think there is a perfect Christian. I think we're all still learning how to walk with Jesus instead of walking in our own thoughts and abilities, because I'll be honest, you think you can solve everything. Especially if you're a man, you probably think you can handle anything and solve any problem. But then you always come up against something. You'll always find some situation that you're just like at your end of your rope and you need help. That's kind of where God puts some people so they learn their faith on a deeper level, because he parts the Red Sea. And those Israelites were at that shore, and they were thinking this was it. They were going to be killed. But the sea parted. And that's kind of where I was with this truck situation with my husband. It was like, oh, we're going to be messed up by this because it needed a new engine. And I was like, this is going to be hitting us hard. But then the Lord came through with that warranty, and I am so grateful. Pamela says, I'm hoping to find someone who wants to co-author a Christian artist prompt deck of cards. That would be fun. Send me a message about that. We'll figure it out together. Because I don't know anything about that, but it sounds like that would be really awesome. So anyways, I love you guys. I do pray for you. I hope you all have a blessed day. Mwah.